Welcome back to the channel. Thingies spread the love for Valentine's Day, the Undead Buzzies reveal, some FIFA AI League alpha, plus a whole bunch more. This is Into the Futureverse. Now give that like button a bunnies up and let's get into it. Firstly, just a quick shout out to everyone who's struggling in New Zealand at the moment. They've had an awful run with weather in the last 3 weeks, with extensive flooding in Auckland, where a lot of the Futureverse team are based, and extensive damage caused in the last few days from a cyclone, with the entire country moving into a 7-day state of emergency. Hope everyone got through unscathed and that the damage hasn't been too extensive. Now let's crack on with the news. If you hold a drug receipt, you're eligible to mint a free Broken Hearts Club Valentine's Day greeting card. But you best be quick because you've got less than 24 hours to do so. Make sure you jump onto the official Twitter page to get the correct link. While on the topic of Valentine's Day, the Thingies have a new style that you can convert your newly created artworks to, with a Valentine's Day theme now available. Some of the artworks being produced are stunning, so if you want to get your hands on one, I suggest you do it soon, because this will likely be available for a limited time only. And there's a great chance that producing artworks with the Thingies will be considered proof of work to earn root tokens, or maybe use the artworks for future rounds of sacrificing, so keep that in mind. The February edition of the Probably Nothing newsletter has also dropped, revealing that we can expect the Gods and Goblins and Seeker sacrifice process to begin in the last 2 weeks of February, with a live YouTube stream happening tomorrow on the 17th, so be sure to tune in to get all the updates. Also in the newsletter were these images of a Gods and Goblin themed Atom garage. This gives us a little bit of insight as to how the context of your Atom garage might change based on the land and location that it's connected to. Congratulations to Dominic Believens, who traded in his bored ape for a bunch of Futureverse assets. He dropped this lengthy tweet thread on why he has such high conviction around our ecosystem. He managed to swap his ape for a whole suite of high-value Futureverse assets, including a silver male fluff to match the female that he minted, and its associated robo thingy. He also scored a silver party bear, a retro fur fluff, 2 high rollers, 2 dens, and 4 ETH. He then rounded out his Futureverse collection by replacing his bored ape with the Futureverse version, a POTA, pixel of the ape. Now if you're not familiar with POTAs, they actually predate non-fungible labs, and are considered a true OG asset for the ecosystem. You can expect them to be well rewarded when the root token incentives go live. There is only a limited supply of these, but there's going to be future rounds to look forward to, and it's going to be an active collection within the ecosystem moving forward. Dom also pitched this question to Aaron McDonald about the incubation program in collaboration with Outlier Ventures on the in-peak video session this morning with Somi Arian. Let's take a listen.
You can tell us any more about the Outlier Ventures and Futureverse Accelerator, and might be interesting to some folks.
For those who don't know, as part of setting up the Futureverse and launching the Root Network, which is our new layer 1, we have developed a separate arm, I guess, of the ecosystem called Born Ready Ventures, and Born Ready Ventures is tasked with the outreach to the broader content creator and developer community and bringing them on board and accelerating and incubating projects to build within the set of tools that the Futureverse has created. So like a really important thing to understand is the Futureverse is not just content, it's also a platform. And all of the stuff that we've been using to build our characters and worlds and stories and technology with will become tools available for anyone out there to do the same thing. And so if you think about us as both a content business and a platform business, I guess in the same way that Amazon is, we have this arm over here that's really focused on enabling people to use those tools and adding, more content and more value to the ecosystem. And Outlier Ventures is our partner in the accelerator programs. And so we'll be launching that from Q2, inviting people who have projects that they think can leverage the technology that we've been building to come in and start to co-create with us and build the open metaverse. It's something that requires a collective effort of the community. The tagline of the Futureverse is, "We're not the building the future, you are." And we really believe that. And so as much as the content we've created is awesome content and we're going to keep investing in that, we also want to make the rest of our community and the rest of the world creators in the open metaverse too.
Mycelium Hunter also posed a question about the FIFA AI League, and Aaron dropped this alpha. It sounds like beta testing is just around the corner, and the Futureverse will be seeking community members to help with those efforts. I'll certainly be putting my hand up for that.
Looking to recruit some early alpha testers to that program shortly, like in the next coming weeks. And this is kind of the first time that we'll get to see some of the altered state machine technology in action. The team have been working super hard to solve some problems with scaling AI learning down to mobile devices and then making sure that we can do it in a way that doesn't eat up heaps of compute resources, so you can make the game economies around free-to-play work. Actually, 2 new patents we've lodged in that respect. So a ton of learning through this process, but really excited to bring out that first taste and get people to start to interact with it and build on the feedback they give us and build that into, the awesome game that we think it will be over time.
Notice how Aaron mentioned that the FIFA collaboration is likely to extend well beyond the FIFA AI League, and there's a great chance that we'll start to see experiences built around FIFA events in a similar way to what the SensNet team did last year for the Australian Grand Prix. It's the same technology that's going to be deeply embedded into the Root network, so we can expect to see a slew of different fan experiences popping up over time in regards to FIFA. The Futureverse has positioned itself to be the FIFA's Web3 provider of choice, and if it can deliver on creating seamless experiences for users to interact with the technology, it stands to onboard a lot of people, given the global popularity of the world game. Before we continue, time for an intermission. And now a quick word from our sponsors that make the show possible. Are you building something cool in Web3? And would you like to get in front of the eyes and minds in one of the most engaged and loyal communities around, the Fluffle? Well, hit me up on my Twitter DMs, as the channel is now seeking its first round of official sponsors. Alternatively, you can support my Patreon, or you can buy me a coffee. Oh shit. But if your liquidity is also run dry, fear not, because there's some things you can do for free, and it all makes a difference. You can hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, leave a comment, and share this with your friends. I'd really appreciate it, and it helps support the channel. So with all that out of the way, let's get back to the show. Next up, the third family of the Buzzies have revealed, the Undead, with some of the rarer ones taking on zombie traits. According to OpenSea, there's only 1,136 unrevealed Buzzies remaining, and they'll make up the final 2 unrevealed families. The Cosmic Buzzies, which we've had a sneak peek of their environment already. These guys remind me in some ways to the fairy backpack thingies. And then finally, the Cyber Buzzies. Expect these to be the most highly sought after in the collection. And they kind of feel like a fusion between the Robo Thingies and the Seekers, but perhaps made up of spare parts. Maybe leftover Seeker parts that aren't used to rebuild the Gods and Goblins portal, and other scraps that have been collected around the metaverse. Somehow, the team at Non-Fungible Labs have been able to raise the bar with each subsequent family, which is no mean feat given how amazing even the Desert Buzzies look. This latest tweet from the Walker World team can't help but have me thinking, is there a deeper collaboration here with the Cyber Buzzie family? With the lore that's been released around the Cyber Buzzie family, we know that they come from a place called the Terminus, a long since forgotten but active transport network beneath a city called Arcadium. And this video shows the remains of a long forgotten city after a post-apocalyptic event. You'll note that there's Seekers graffiti tagged on the wall here and a distinct electric buzzing sound coming from this object. Is that trying to summon the Cyber Buzzies to the surface? Who knows? Maybe I'm reading into things. The tweet reads, "Eerie vibes await Walker World. Buzzing sounds and a desolate wasteland set the scene for a post-apocalypse. What's that object in the distance? Any guesses?" Further down in the tweet thread, they mention that they're adding secret laboratory props to a new location and getting some super secret characters into the game. Stay tuned. Now, it was revealed on this channel late last year that both Jadu and the Futureverse have taken a late-stage seed investment in Walker World. Each party takes on a stake of the other in a true symbiotic relationship. This alignment of incentives allows for the best chance possible of success as each party becomes codependent. So in essence, Walker World is a co-owner, the Altered State Machine and the Futureverse, and vice versa. And we've already seen Fluffs, Seekers, Drug Receipts, and the A for All-Star Super Heroine Squadron appear in Walker World content, so clearly there's a deep collaboration in the works. Furthermore, during this morning's chat, Aaron went into more details around the complexity surrounding the roll-up of the 11 companies involved, with 3 still yet to be announced.
The process to do this has been arduous. A very complex transaction. We have multiple companies, each with their own shareholders, and each of those shareholders with their own legal advisors in multiple jurisdictions with multiple tax consequences for different parts of the transaction. It's a very, very complex transaction. I'd say arguably as complex an M&A deal as you can get. And so it's been a very tricky process to get through this. I've been really well supported by both our lead investors in this transaction, who will, announce shortly, and also being stuck with us through all this complexity, and also through my own team, Dan in particular, who works behind the scenes. No one really knows about him, but he makes this kind of magic happen, and really great legal support from the likes of PwC, tax support from our advisors in the US and around the world. And so it's been as tricky a transaction as you could probably imagine, but really worthwhile in the end. We're so excited to have all of this talent and capability and content and rights and partners under one roof. People have seen how powerful this ecosystem is and how quickly we execute on some of the best applications and content out there already. You haven't seen anything yet when we've put these all together. And what's happening behind the scenes now is all the businesses are lining up behind each other, and that capability is starting to really crunch through. We're going to shock some people, I think, throughout the year.
Now, Doodles has been scratched off the list, but the Jungle Drums keep beating around the Cool Cats collection. Are they part of the roll-up? Maybe COOLTOPIA will be one of the lands that make up the third kingdom. And Aaron also dropped some more alpha about further sacrifices that people can make to get into the Futureverse ecosystem, urging people to hang on to their low-value NFTs that they still have in their wallets. Now, if you're like me, you likely have a lot of shit left over in your wallet that is now practically worthless. And part of the gamification and sacrificing these NFTs to get more Futureverse assets is a fantastic way to onboard NFT collectors who are yet to take a stake in the ecosystem. Expect this to be one of the gamified and incentivized approaches to help onboard more people over to the Root network, even if it's just to help test the robustness of the infrastructure. It's an avenue worth pursuing, and who knows, some of these degens might stick around once they see the connected nature of how all the tech works. The Altered State Machine has announced that Cycle 4, or Gen 2 brain mining, is now underway, with a brand new use case set to be announced later on during this cycle. I wonder if this will have anything to do with the FIFA AI League. More details around the Aether Moon, also known as Illyria, have been revealed by the Altered State Machine. The Gen 2 brains we've been mining make up a part of the island of Alturin, which is made up of 9 distinct regions. The fact that this is just one island on Illyria makes me think that there's a lot more room to grow. And as the ecosystem and the number of participants expand, expect the concept of infinite scarcity to come into play, basically meaning we can grow the land to a more or less infinite scale, provided it matches the demand. This should allow new entrants to onboard with a low barrier to entry moving forward, and by being an active participant, be rewarded with a greater stake in the ecosystem. Having your gamified incentives tied to a layer 1 blockchain's value should, in theory, make the incentives more sustainable, where the real yield produced by the network's activities is redistributed back across the user base, creating a virtuous cycle as the ecosystem grows and compounds. This fantastic behind-the-scenes video shows how Symbol, one of the sound designers at Non-Fungible Labs, created the sounds for the Undead Buzzies, even getting his daughter involved on the action. It really is awesome to see how this was done.
Laugh.
Thanks very much for watching. If you enjoy this content, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and maybe consider watching one of my other videos. Bunnies up!